This subject is hip hop and blockchain. I like to call it the new love affair. From Jay-Z to Snoop Dogg, Pitbull to rest in peace Nipsey Hussle, these artists have forged a relationship with blockchain technology. And this has been a new love affair. Hip hop has always been at the forefront of technology. It's always been embracing from the days of the beeper, the two-way pager, to the, I like to say, as the big homie Bila said, 8 tracks to iPhone. This is all what hip hop has embraced and is moving forward. With us today, I have a rock star panel. We have Aubrey Flynn, former CDO of Revolt Television, and now on the board for Sky's the Limit. I have Lauren Bizzle from Immutable Music, Byron Booker from Rags. He's the CEO and founder of the Recording Artists Guild, the infamous rap legendary Bay Area icon Be Legit, and then also with us I have Vincent Bragg the Third. Barry the Third. Excellent. So with no further ado, I want to go ahead and start off with a quick intro. If each of you guys could tell a little bit about yourselves and what the attraction is with blockchain for you. So we'll start off with Aubrey Flynn.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aubrey Flynn, board member at skysthelimit.org. Over 15 years of experience working with Fortune 500 brands on marketing and branding and Forbes' greatest business minds. I love blockchain because it empowers a generation to succeed and get over all limits successfully.
Awesome. Laura?
Hey guys, my name is Lauren Bizzle. I have been a music producer, concerts, tours, music festivals for most of my career. Got involved in the tech world about a year and a half ago when I was recruited by a big data company to open up a music and entertainment vertical for them, and it kind of gone down the rabbit hole ever since.
My name is Byron Booker. I'm founder and CEO of Recording Artists Guild RAG, similar to SAG, but for musicians. Started off as a recording artist, then a manager, then a label owner, then a publisher and concert producer, and decided to start the Recording Artists Guild as a way to bring label services and financial services and insurance and things like that to the music business. And I'm always looking at innovation, so blockchain naturally attracted me to see how that can impact music. So we have a distribution platform, and we have a coin associated with that called Royalty Coin that pays out both fiat and royalty and crypto coins with every royalty that we do through that platform.
Okay, I'm Be Legit and co-founder of Sick With It Records, originated in Vallejo, California in 1989-88. I'm here to check out this blockchain thing because, like you said, I'm from the 8-track to the iPhone. And, being from where we from in the Bay Area, like, we like to call ourselves innovators of game. We didn't have major labels, like we said, to come and put us on, so we had to figure it out and do it ourselves. So we're now going into this digital age where technology is playing a big part of the music, like you said, it always has. And blockchain is really going to clarify that, kind of like cut out the middleman from the people that's entrepreneurs in the music business trying to get, into the tech world and create this marriage.
Hi, my name is Vincent Berry II. I have a very beautiful story, and we'll get into a little bit of it. But ultimately, I went to Morehouse College, majored in business administration with a concentration in accounting. But I was always a creator. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and so music was a part of just the community in Detroit. And one day, about 2 months before graduation, my professor told me that the best thing you can own in the world, or the best thing that anybody will own that you will help, brother, as an accountant, will be a copyright. You have 120 years built in of revenue-generating potential. And that kind of played over in my head over and over again as I'm thinking about these 500 songs that I got in my iTunes. And I'm like, bro, I got 500 songs, my man. And he's like, well, you rich already. I don't know who told you to come to college, my man. You need to go learn how to sell your songs. And I'm the president of my fraternity at the time, the boss list of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I was the president of Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity. And I hear him say that, Rue, and I hear that and I say, oh my God. Close my laptop, move to LA, live homeless for 3 years, eventually getting a song to Beyonce. We eventually won a Grammy. I produced a song on Lemonade called Sandcastles. I never sold my song. I own my song. Went on to work with Migos, Mary J. Blige, and so many other people. I'm the head of music for a film company now called Film Engine. And I'm just here to teach our people how to own their music at the end of the day. And I think blockchain is going to help to accelerate what that ownership and monetization looks like.
Nice, thank you. So hip hop has always been a competitive sport. I'm sure you would agree. We have Jay-Z did a deal with Samsung, then Lil Wayne does his VR initiative. It's very competitive, and everyone's looking how they can one up the other and do something disruptive in the sport. But Aubrey, I'd ask you this first question. Why the love affair between blockchain and hip hop versus any other genres of music?
Our culture is creative, and young people, they really are in a position now more than ever where they have cut out the middleman with the labels.
You know, Aubrey, 1 second.
Sure.
Let me just change this up. Aubrey was real humble, and he didn't even share his background after the rock star talked about Beyonce. He happened to work for this guy named Sean Diddy Combs. So his background is very thorough, very... You're going to get into it? All right, let's do it. Please continue.
Let's get into it. So yeah, I spent maybe 9, almost 10 years working with Mr. Combs. I was head of digital. I was chief digital officer at Revolt, brand content director for Ciroc. Helped them launch most of the brands outside of Bad Boy. I think I was in middle school when Bad Boy came out. But yeah, Revolt TV, Ciroc Ultra Premium, De Leon Tequila, Aqua Hydrate. I was head of digital marketing for those years. So one day I was in San Francisco, actually. I was meeting, so specifically I was in Silicon Valley meeting with a couple companies for those brands to find synergies. And while I was out here, I met with a nonprofit organization, and they were, one of the founders of the organization happens to be Nicholas Carey. He is the founder of blockchain.com, the CEO of blockchain.com. And they invited me to be part of the board based on my background as a digital marketer, my connection with the community and the culture. So why blockchain? Getting back to the question. Why is it important for the hip-hop community? So today, more than any other time, these young people that are creators, they are creating assets that they are looking to own the rights to. In the past, y'all know your history in order to know where you're going. In the past, they had to go through all of these gatekeepers, including, the distributors to get into the stores. They had to go through labels to get on radio, to get on television. Today, they have all of those tools at their disposal. They can go on Instagram and YouTube and reach the masses, millions of people, just like you had to go through television back in the day. You don't need that. Facebook can get you hundreds of millions of individuals right now listening to your music. You can upload your song on Spotify for less than $100. You don't need radio anymore. So a lot of the gatekeepers, a lot of the barriers to entry in hip-hop today are removed from a marketing and distribution perspective. But guess what is still a hurdle for a lot of independent artists? Legal and finance. So a lot of them still don't understand law. A lot of them are still learning how to set up their own joint venture. They're still trying to own the rights to their intellectual property. And then access to capital. Finding funding, financing, accounting, understanding their royalties and how all of these systems work is still a major barrier to entry for a lot of independent artists. So why is blockchain important? Blockchain is to finance and law. In a lot of ways, the technology is similar to how internet kind of opened up distribution and marketing for these independent artists. So what blockchain will allow artists to do is essentially share their royalties in a fast way. They no longer have to wait for the label to pay them that royalty check. In a transparent way, they no longer have to wait for their lawyer or their management to educate them on their splits. If they produced a record or wrote on a record, blockchain will make that transparent so that they can see and understand in real time how that value is coming to them. And then it's fast. So I said fast, transparency. It's also secure. So because of the way that the blockchain is engineered, all of these different, contributors are contributing to the way that this value is shared. So it's up to us now to empower our community of creatives with this technology so that they can become experts, just like they're experts at YouTube and Instagram. Now they have to now become experts in this new technology, blockchain, so that they can own the rights to their art.
Righteous. Love that. Let's take a step back and start with, for everybody out there, what is blockchain? And Laura, I'm going to ask that question to you. For everybody, how would you define what blockchain technology is?
Yeah. You know, when I describe what blockchain is to people, I normally like to keep it very simple. I'm not an engineer, for one. And I think it's important to be able to understand what it is just as anybody. So blockchain is really nothing more than a distributed ledger or a record in which every party who is a part of that group can see. So for example, if I'm on a blockchain with everyone here on this panel and I give something to Mike over here, everyone can see that I did that. And let's say then he makes a payment to someone else on the panel. Everyone can see that that happened. So there's no questions about honesty, trust, et cetera. It kind of removes that. You know, so if you think about it, it's like, okay, so that's really just, that's a baseline. So what do we actually do with that? And I think that's where the creativity comes in. You know, this can apply to the finance industry. This can apply, obviously, to the music industry. And I thought you gave an excellent example of all the different ways that it could do that. So, yeah, I think that sums it up.
Nice, nice. Vincent, I'm going to direct this question to you, and Bila, feel free to jump in. What are some of the typical issues artists face today that blockchain technologies appears to provide a solution to?
So one of the things is the lack of continuity in the legal agreements that you sign as a producer, right? I've had the privilege of working with Beyonce, but I've also had the privilege of working with the Migos and Sean Paul and Shaggy and Mary J. Blige and Tamar Braxton and so many other people. And then you get into TV and film and commercials and licensing and synchronization license. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and it's a whole bunch of language that can be confusing to somebody who hasn't learned legal jargon. You just signing a bunch of papers. You say, I'm assigning. This is what made me not sign to a big publisher. The contract said I assign my rights over to blah, blah, blah publishing company wholly and completely. In my mind, wholly was enough. Wholly and completely sounds, so that sounds deep. You know what I'm saying? I said, I'll wait for my money, wholly and completely. I'm from Detroit. I don't know what wholly and completely mean. Right? So blockchain gives us the ability to have a contract that can be translated across the entire platform. There's a continuity in our contract, smart contracts. I'm going to sign the same contract that my brother signed, right? And that's very important, to be able to have a contract that's broken down in languages that's not convoluted with these elevated definitions that are hard to understand from the lay people who are typically the creators.
Yeah, and I'll expand on that. In addition to that, with the whole rise of the independent movement, is that the smart contract executes it all. So it's self-administrative in a sense.
Yes.
So which is big. That is huge.
It's everything, and that was thank you. That was a perfect segue to my next thought. When I think about blockchain, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we've been ideating about this for about 4 or 5 years. And about 3 years, he took a turn that I didn't take. He went to MIT to a blockchain program and actually got his degree in this conversation. And what I was talking to him about 2 nights ago, he said something I thought was so brilliant. His name is Daryl Farmer. I don't take people's intellectual property. This is why I'm actually diving into this technology, so that I can help people save their property. So this is a perfect example for me to give him his credit. Daryl Farmer Jr., he said that, but blockchain gives us the ability to make our content conscious, right? Imagine if your content knew who wrote it. Right. You know what I'm saying? And knew exactly every place where my song, where I'm being monetized, and exactly how much I owe Vince, and exactly how much I owe you and the labels and the distributors. Blockchain gives our content the ability to understand itself, right, and protect itself. And I think that's an extreme value when you have tons of people taking your music and it's being placed all over the world, and 30,000 people singing covers of your song on YouTube and all over. You need something to help you manage all of the revenue that's being generated from your content.
Well, Vincent, that's a good point. And Byron, Phil, I'd love for you to speak on this. What's the unique element of a smart contract? Maybe start with, what is a smart contract for everyone?
So basically, building off what blockchain is essentially it's a ledger. So it's a record, and you can direct it to do what you want it to. So it's an executor of that agreement in a sense. So And a cool thing about it is when you're filling out a split sheet, for instance, if we're talking about a song, you know, traditionally, if you're like uploading to BMI or something like that, you're defining writers and publishers and things like that. But what if we have an agreement that Aunt Kiki, I want to give her 2% of this. She's not a writer or a publisher, but I could put her down and we can agree that she gets a percentage of this because she funded the studio time that night or whatever it might be. So multiple parties can get paid simultaneously, and they can execute that without any kind of conversation or anything like that. So that's some of the tools that we build at the Guild is a way for them to digitally fill out a split sheet at the time of recording, upload it to our database. They all get a copy of it in like a DocuSign format, and then we can translate that to a smart contract. We distribute it on our platform, and we pay out on as directed as it is on that smart contract. So if we can get more people to participate at the time of creation on that agreement, we can expedite the process. So the fact that all this can be done without a staff of 20, you know what I mean? And that you can then also make it more efficient so that there's less cost for that administrative part, and we can all just eat more based off of the creative. That's here today. So that's one of the main functions and missions that we have. And that's why we elected to call our coin royalty coin, because people understand what royalty is. And it starts the conversation, the dialogue, because it's going to be a little bit, just as it was with the internet, a little bit of onboarding people to the concept and participation. And then there's going to come a tipping point where it becomes a new normal.
Got it. Love it. Love it. Love it. From hand-to-hand combat, that's, you know, on the streets, pushing out your mixtapes, pushing flyers, to now this new era of just put a click of a button and just sending it on Instagram. Bila, how has the landscape of music changed? And I think your answer would probably be reflective of everybody here, where you've seen, what did you say, from 8 tracks to iPhone?
Yeah, from 8-track to smartphone, basically. So during the time of trying to get your music heard, you know what I'm saying, we did have to go get on planes, fly the music out to different DJs and stuff like that. With the internet, of course, is all at the click of a button. But the problem that you're having is everybody's downloading your music. You have people like, say, like older artists, Cameo, from their music is being played on YouTube and all these streaming things, and they probably not getting paid for it. Right. So with the blockchain, it's able to, you know, because they're not in contract no more. So now with the blockchain, if they line up their music, they can be fully transparent, track it down where it's getting paid all the way up into the second. Like, you know, it's live time. And you can also get a dashboard of some type. Everybody that's, you know, logged into it, you can go and see everything across
See all
the
your
board.
analytics.
All your analytics. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Byron, you spoke on something that was interesting, and this is, I'll call it adapting. So I like to say that we're building smart artists. So you have smart cars, smart homes, smart water. We now need to have smart artists. And by smart artists, those are those who leverage technology to further connect with fans and also monetize. You're at the forefront of this. Everybody on this panel is at the forefront. Where are some challenges with artists? We have a couple artists that are out there in this audience. The learning curve. How does the artist who's looking to make money now versus this blockchain and that integration?
Well, I think that you got to start with the thought leaders in the community that are open to experiment in these new mediums and these new, you know, avenues. You know, and that's what blockchain is. If we're all being honest, it's still very new, and it's still a new idea. So I work with Ray J, who I consider a tech entrepreneur. You know, he started with his sphere of influence, started Scooty Bike, which is his electric bike, and he got his warm market. He got Snoop and Bieber and Chris Brown and all these people endorse his product, leveraged that, and to a public company, and then got into earbuds, and then he's gotten into that, and he's killing it in that. And I'm doing we did a visual album for him. I executive produced and wrote a visual album for Ray J that's coming out called Redemption. And we got Snoop on there, we got The Game, and we got Chris Brown, and we got Brandy, and we got Too Short, and we got all these other guys. Well, I'm putting it out, I'm distributing that, And so I'm able to participate in this new thing with all those guys essentially and Ray. And so
And
this will be
a blockchain powered album that Ray J will be putting out.
exactly.
Nice.
So
You heard it here first at Push Tech.
yes. There's people actually have done this in EDM and in rock,
Yeah.
kind of quietly, but we're looking to make a big splash. What we're doing.
That's the power of hip hop.
Yes.
The culture that we have, because when we do it, it's Wall Street.
Exactly.
But I'd love to hear a little bit more if you could share with everyone.
Yeah.
How are you going to roll this out? So his album, he's dropping when?
It'll be this summer, and we've got like 4 albums backlog because these guys work crazy like you do, and just so much volume of music. So we're going to make sure that we strategically are able to focus on marketing the album properly, but somehow introduce this as a new way that we can introduce how this whole system works for the majors that be. So having been able to work with Ray closely, I'm able to explain it to him. And able to walk through the process and say, okay, everybody's still getting paid normal dollars, right?
Got it.
This is another incentive that we have. This is more of a token experiment as opposed to like security or way to pay outs only on the crypto, because that's another conversation.
Right.
But that way they can kind of see how the system works. So that's how we're introducing it.
Nice. What are some of the challenges that blockchain is facing as it's trying to reach mass adoption?
Awareness.
Awareness.
A lot of people don't know what it is. A lot of people think blockchain is synonymous with Bitcoin.
Right.
So it's
Can
a
you tell the
challenge.
difference? You want to share the difference between the
Let's use an analogy, right? So the internet, people started to become familiar with the internet mid-90s, right? AOL, Earthlink, right? All of these things were built on the internet. Companies rose in value. Some of them crashed in the late 90s during the dot-com bust, right? But the internet has survived, and companies like Google and Facebook are still here, some of the biggest and most successful companies in the world. So blockchain is the foundation to cryptocurrencies and technology that's built on top of. So Bitcoin may go up, go down, etc., but it's built on the blockchain. And it has a variety of applications. Just like the internet, you can send email, you can create content. For instance, sky'sthelimit.org, we're investing in young entrepreneurs from underserved communities, right? And how do we choose who gets the funding? We use tokens on the blockchain. Why? Because it's transparent. So there's no question about, how did this person get the actual vote, right? It's all transparent. So there are multiple applications to the technology, and we have to become aware. We have to educate ourselves. We have to empower each other so we take full advantage.
Nice. You speak of it becoming more popular, getting the attention. Samsung and Facebook are entering the blockchain space. What type of disruption do you think we'll be seeing in that? I open that up to anybody. We know that Samsung, right now on the news, Samsung 10 has a blockchain wallet, and Facebook, on the other hand, is coming out soon to roll out its global coin. How do you guys see that helping to push the blockchain ecosystem and growth? Anyone?
I think that some of these Fortune 500 companies and some of these bigger ones will use the token in a fun way. Maybe they'll gamify it. Maybe they'll use it for some philanthropic purpose. And the fact that people can see it and then they can interact with it will be great for everyone, because it'll be like a PSA for this whole play. And people will become more familiar with tokens versus straight cryptocurrency and the different applications of blockchain. So that's what I'm thinking that will happen. And Facebook, for instance, how they took the lead with VR, and Google, how they took the lead with VR. And then you see how long that learning curve still is to this day. It'll take more time. But with blockchain and crypto, it's so sexy and so fun. I think it'll be a little bit faster than, say, for VR is to the masses. But I think it's pretty much their job to push the tech culture forward in that way.
And I would add to that saying it's going to mitigate the risk, because what's happening is, if you say blockchain or crypto, a lot of people are still like, oh, that's risky. I'm not putting my money into that. It's a gamble. It's not real. It's hype, you know? So when you see these huge companies get involved, that makes it a little safer to invest, because once they start putting all this infrastructure behind it, you know, corporations get behind it, politicians get behind it, it becomes a real thing. So what's important is that we get involved, we start to own and have influence now. Imagine if we had that influence with the internet in 97, right? Like, it would be a whole different conversation for black billionaires today, right?
Well, you know what? That's a good point there. What would be the difference between, let's say, the internet and how we could utilize it versus, say, blockchain?
I mean, it's all about IP. We are creators. We are creators of culture. You know, music, dance, art, books, all of these things have blockchain applications. So it's up to our creative minds to create. And the good news is now we don't have to go through a lot of the middlemen, the third parties.
Third parties cut out.
Exactly.
That's what it is. And it also keeps, it might make people really want to join more of a blockchain because it's because of its transparency, and you can check on it. You know, it makes it a safe bet, so to speak.
Nice.
And you can't cheat it.
Nice.
That's a good thing. A lot of record companies, you know, back in the days, like they've been wanting more and more control, more of the 360 deals and more control of you and owning you. And this is what me and him are not trying to get into. We want to be in control of our own destiny, so to speak. And blockchain has given us that vehicle, that car to drive to that destination.
I was going to say, looking at the current business model of music, I'd like to say artists are first to show up for work and then last to be paid.
Definitely.
Would you like to chime in on that? Both of you guys
Yes, sir,
understand
man.
that space
I
quite
think
well.
this is another thing that I think the blockchain does. It doesn't have anything to do with necessarily paying us right now, but I think it has everything to do with us giving us insight on exactly where the money is. Right? Imagine having that power to know exactly where the money is. So at any given point in the music industry, $2.8 billion is unpaid to creators. And you don't know how much of that is your money, right? But when you start working with bigger artists, then a larger share of that becomes your money, right? But there's an 18-month latency between the time that my music is released, between the time that I'm able to, that's how I feel every
They
single
don't tell you
day.
that
No
when you make
interest.
your record.
18-month latency.
Yes.
And I used to work for a No Child Left Behind company. We used to tutor kids in Detroit, Michigan. We had 1,900 kids we were tutoring, but we were net 90, and net 90 was still hard. We still had to find a bank to finance what we're doing in order to pay these tutors on a weekly basis to get to the money. And net 90 is crazy, but I'm talking about net 2 years. Who can actually live a sustainable life waiting 2 years for your money? Nobody, right? And so it's not intended for you to. So what the industry did, as my brother shared, if you don't look at the past, we'll never understand what's coming. And this is what blockchain gives us the power to participate on every area where there's a right in conjunction with my creative ability, right? So when you create a song, when I write a song, there's a publishing right being created, but there's also a master right being created. This was the play by the labels. It was the dopest play of all time, right? In other words, I'm going to find these black folk who make music. I'm going to finance their music creation by putting them in a studio. But when they write that song, they think it's one song, they think it's one right being created. But there's two rights being created, and we're going to break down this pub, but we're going to take 100% of the masters on them. So when you license your music in the commercial, they pay you $100,000 for the publishing, but they got to pay $100,000 for the master too. And you don't own none of that. Whoever paid for that session to be created is who owns that master right. And for me, the idea is to own your own equipment so that you can own more of your creation.
Let me do this just for time's sake, and I want
Sorry,
you
bro, I
to
just
chime
had
in.
to- I had to
No,
get
that's
that.
very important. And what I want you to do, we spoke on Beyonce. You got a player deal to do, or she gave you a player deal, right? In
Changed
terms
my
of
life.
percentage.
Yeah, she changed my life, for sure.
I want you to share with the audience how this would relate to a smart contract in terms of the percentages of the
Awesome.
song
This
that
is-
you
this
wrote.
is-
This
this
is
is
very
perfect.
important for everybody to understand, because then not only you could replicate this song with life.
No, this song is the perfect example because of how the business happens. So fast forward, again, I don't believe in taking people's IP. I don't believe in taking people's relationships without compensating them for it, right? There's got to be a way for them to benefit, some kind of incentive to make this play for you. And nothing is happening just because you're a good person. Nobody cares that you're talented, bro. The whole nation talented. I can go to any place in this country where black people are and find somebody who can write songs just as good as I can write songs. He probably can sing better, probably look better, right? So the idea is you ain't that special, bro. So you've got to build people into your business. So the young lady who placed this song for me on Beyonce is a young lady I met at random, right? So number one, be kind to people. You don't never know who you're meeting. You never know who you're talking to.
Right
So
here
just-
at Push Tech.
Right? Just be nice. You don't know who in the room. You don't know who you sitting next to. So just be nice, right? That's the first level. Number two, I meet this girl. She's like, yo, man, you know, she just started crying when she hears this song. I mean, just crocodile tears. And I'm like, man, that's what I wrote it for. You know, I produced it technically. I produced Sandcastles, co-wrote it with a brother named Malik Yusuf. He wrote most of these words. He heard it in his head years ago. He came to me and said, this song is for Tiana Taylor. And when I heard it, I said, no, bro, this song is for Beyonce. And then it's the fastest song that I've placed in my career. A couple months later, I meet this young lady named Medea Mathers. And she hears the song, she starts crying, and she says to me, yo, I want to sing this in a showcase. I said, my lady, I'm so sorry, man. I've been homeless to hold on to these songs, baby. I can help you find some songs, though. They got, you know, I Will Always Love You, Whitney Houston. They got Unbreak My Heart, Tony Braxton. I can riddle you off some smashes that you can sing, baby, but you can't sing this one. And the most I was like, bro, why not? You sleeping in your car, bro. This might be how I'm trying to bless you. Literally in my head while I'm sitting in front of the girl. I said, you know what? Let me change that. Don't tell nobody you wrote my song. Don't give it to nobody, and you can sing it. Because really what I'm looking for is people who cry from hearing it, right? To be the voices, the billboards, to articulate it to the people. So if it don't move you, don't sing my song, right? I only want people singing my song, big brother, that's moved by my song. So she crying, you the girl. Fast forward, I give her the song. A couple weeks later, she called me, yo, you're going to hate me, but you're going to love me. I had to give your song away. I'm thinking, oh, my God. She like, but I gave it to Beyonce's manager, Teresa Libera. I'm saying, my lady, you give it to her every time. You know what I'm saying?
Don't listen
Skip
to me.
everything I said.
Don't listen to me, right?
Listen, because I could have snapped on her immediately. So I'm saying, just listen. You know what I'm saying? I had to give it to Beyonce, and the lady started crying too. I said, my Lord. You know what I'm saying? She called me. She said, yo, I can't believe you don't have a publisher. This is crazy to me. I can't believe you're not signed. She told me about your situation. If you hold on, just don't tell nobody about it because Beyonce wants a private, secret release. But if you don't tell nobody, I can guarantee you this song is on the album. You know what I'm saying? So now, but the problem is it took another year, almost a year and a half for it to come out. So in my mind,
Get to the business. Tell them the business.
I got Beyonce. This is what all of this is important for the business because if you don't understand how the play happened, then you won't know how to emulate it in your life. Right, so this young lady makes this play for me. Fast forward, it's a year later. I'm waiting on understanding for this song to come out, but this girl made the play. So it's time for the publishing. How do we break this down? Right, I gave her 10% of the publishing from the beginning.
Amen.
Right, which is fundamental because
That changed her life, too.
if you don't, it opened up door. And I listed her as a songwriter on the song. So when people
Wowzers.
read the song, they don't know who
Wowzers.
wrote it. They don't know who produced it. They just see all of our name
That's
and boom.
big.
Now, when Beyonce came in, she wanted 20% of the song, but her publisher wanted more than that, right? So he tells us after we Beyonce only want 20. Oh man, we lit. She only want 20. Perfect. He come back. No, I want 25. Now we've already agreed on splits. Now I got to go back and
Listen to this.
had these conversations with people, and it wasn't at the easiest conversation to have. To tell somebody, I got to take some more pub from you. I got to say, man, what you doing, bro? You already got more than me. I'm like, bro, it's not about that. She wants more. So what I realized, what smart contracts does is it brings it all the way down from the beginning, right? So she had 10% from the song. But when Beyonce came in, everybody went lower than that. And now it's like a conversation of integrity. It's a conversation of you didn't factor in how much she was going to take. And these are the kind of complications that happen every single day. These are the conversations that ruin relationships. This the kind of shit, sorry, excuse my language. This the kind of stuff, excuse my language, y'all, but this the kind of stuff that make Jay-Z and Damon Dash no longer business partners. This the kind of stuff that make L.A. Reid and Babyface no longer business partners, not being able to have these conversations. Blockchain makes it a conversation that we don't even got to sit here arguing with each other. This is going to be built in from the beginning, from the inception of the right. We have an understanding of how this is going to be split, and at that point, you have an industry that we can trust again, creators who are creator for choosing to work in corporate America, who's saying, you know what, I'll keep my songs to myself, because there's millions of those people who refuse to get involved with the record labels. Once they see a trusted industry, now they come out of the dark, baby, and we got incredible music again in the world, and that's really what I want. I want music that we can be proud of. Music. When I think about Motown, the Funk Brothers, 86 #1 records. You can put the Beatles and Rolling Stone and all those Beach Boys, put them together, and they don't have 86 #1 records. Right, and that's from our community. We gave the pop music was R&B music, right? But if we don't trust the space, if we don't trust our ability to monetize off our creation, then I can do something else. I went to school for business administration. I'm gonna get into tech, right? So my idea is to create something that's disruptive and decentralized to make this a sustainable industry again.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm getting cue that we got to wrap up, but I want to go ahead and give each of you guys a closing line, starting with Bila and what you got going on also with the Block movement. So at the same time, Vincent is talking in terms of Beyonce and what we have going on there. Bila is doing something real exclusive pertaining to hip hop. I'd love to.
Yeah, we want to bring the blockchain to the hip hop community, because it's just like right now, all the kids 16, 17, they come up learning the computer. This is all they know. They don't know nothing about a dial phone. It's all digital phones. So this is really for them. You know, it passed us up. We had to catch up to it and present it back to them. But this is our way of giving it back and giving them control of their own career, their own entrepreneurism or whatever. You know.
Right on.
So
I want to say this for Bila before I pass it to Byron. In this rap game, I compare it to football, and you go from playing on the football field to then being in the announcer booth. Next season, Tom Brady is going to be faced with that, and what's the new venture? So I look at Bila, E40, Too Short. These are the senior statesmen right here in the Bay Area that have to be at the forefront of getting the new school to get involved. They're the influencers. So I think it's a big step. He's actually the first rapper that's actually at the forefront of taking and making something exclusively for the hip hop community. You have Jay-Z doing investments. You got Nas doing different type of investments, but he's actually the first that's doing it in the blockchain space. So big ups. Byron, I'd love to hear from you because you're also doing some big things. You got Ray J coming out. I want to hear. How are you marketing it? Talk to me.
Yeah. Okay. So one, I wanted to quickly address one of the benefits for blockchain, as you said about the internet and how we can participate and how we can position ourselves differently from that internet boom to this one. Is
to
that
the blockchain?
The blockchain
boom.
Yeah. Like so, for instance. Like when Pets.com and all of these internet companies came out and went and raised hundreds of millions of dollars, they used traditional financial instruments like PPMs and going public. Yes. And a lot of that knowledge base and relationships aren't in the hip hop community, so to speak. But blockchain with an ICO and these other ways to raise money is accessible. So that's another reason why you'll get participation from a lot of people that traditionally were outside of that system. But as it relates to what we're doing, I got a chance to work with Chris Brown and Rihanna and Diddy and all these guys over the years on records and be a part of it. And where I see it going is a whole industry of independence, essentially. I see everyone independently. That's how I look at them, regardless if they say they're signed or not, because I know where the industry is going. The barrier of entries are down, and we'll position ourselves to be a part of this whole conversation. And a part of this new revolution of blockchain.
Nice. Laura.
So there's something that I always like to encourage people who are interested in music and blockchain to think about. You hear people saying over and over, yeah, let's cut out the middlemen, like, let's take this in our own hands, and that's really, really good. But if we want this to have superior mass adoption, it's better if we can make this inclusive. So if you think about the fact that you spend $12 or $15, whatever it is, on Spotify a month, right? And then you get access to most of the music that you want. 10, 15 years ago, you're spending that much for 15 songs, a CD. There is room for the pie to be bigger for everybody. And if we want mass adoption, let's think of ways to help labels. Let's think of ways to help publishers, not just artists. I think artists are at the forefront of everything. That is the reason the music industry exists. But let's make it possible for Sony to help us. Let's make it possible for Universal to help us. Let's figure out a way to get, they're hurting too. So how do we increase the pie, I think?
Smart.
Smart. Aubrey, I'll let you close it out.
Black generational wealth is important to us, and when we're ultimately going to be the ancestors of the future. Look at the top hip hop rappers, entrepreneurs today. On an annual, you might add up all their Forbes numbers, and it's a fraction of the Bezoses and the Zuckerbergs, the guys who own the platforms. I'm tired of young people coming up to me saying, how do I get my video on Revolt? Build your own Revolt. The time is now. Own your own platform. Distribute the wealth. Currency is being made and created. When we were going through Occupy Wall Street, that's when this whole cryptocurrency thing took off. They made their own money. Black people can make their own money today.